Alrighty guys, we're tying this fly on a Mustad 200R hook. It's a very sharp curved hook, which I love for these patterns. It's also going to be a beadhead pattern, and for this one we're going to use a gold beadhead. So we're going to be using 6/0 thread in about I'd say a dark tan color. So you're just going to tie your thread on at the base of your bead and just work your way back. We're going to start this fly traditionally, starting from the back and moving to the head. And you're going to bring it about just 1/4 of an inch before the actual bend of the hook. Just trim off your thread. And you're going to get yourself what are called goose biots. And you're going to grab yourself 2 of them. Make sure that the points are intact on these guys because it looks better on the fly. And what you're going to do is you're going to separate the 2 that you got. And you're going to splay them against each other so that they basically fray out away from each other like that and make a V. And this is going to be the tail of your fly right here. So once you got that good, you're basically going to set it to the length that you want. This is easier said than done, by the way. And you're basically just going to wrap. I like to do a couple loose wraps first just to make sure I got my angling right. Then tighten up on it and cinch it down. Just cover it up too to make sure it's secure. Once you're done, they should fork out pretty good like that. Alright, now that you got your tail completed, you're going to want to grab some wire. The colors that we're going to use today are both black and copper. Usually when you're tying this fly, you're always going to have black, regardless of what color variation you're doing. It's the other color that's going to change. So instead of black, you could use gold, you can use red, you can use silver. But this one, since we're going with a gold bead, we're going to go with copper wire. Now what you're going to do is you're going to line both of these up together. Which side doesn't really matter, but you're going to tie them in right up to that tail that you just tied in. You want to get it as close as you can without working that tail too much. Alright, you can just let those go now. The next thing we're going to do, this is kind of the most time consuming part of this fly really, the rest kind of just flies by after this, is you're going to have to build the body or the abdomen of this fly manually. So basically you're just going to come in, this is where using a larger size thread actually comes in really handy. And you're going to build that body shape that you want manually. For this fly, I like to taper it out from the tail. So I should say the opposite actually. I like to taper it down to the tail. So basically the body is going to be thicker in the center and it's going to taper down as you get close to the tail. And now you're going to concentrate on your wire. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring your black wire and basically you're just going to tightly wrap it all over the whole entire part of that body. So you're just going to start from where the base of that tail is, come in, and you're just going to work it tightly. It's good in this case too if you have a rotating vise, especially if you disconnected your thread and you're new to this pattern, rotating the vise just to make sure you're getting an even wraps both on the top and the bottom of the fly, because you could be looking like you're wrapping tight on this side of the fly, then you go to finish your fly and you flip it over and you realize that the wraps weren't as tight in the bottom. So if you have a rotating vise, just take advantage of that perk that you got and spin it around and make sure you're doing good on all angles of the fly. Once you wrapped your black wire in there, basically it created little ridges in between all the coils. So you're going to try to run this copper in between the little spaces that you created with the black wire. Okay, so basically what you're going to do now, after you've checked over your body and you like the way it looks, You're gonna get 2 more goose biots from that section that you got earlier. In this case, since you're not at the end of the hook, you can put them in individually, which would probably be a lot easier. And that's usually about the length that I like to start with. Just a little bit over the length of the body itself. Just like that. So once you got them about even, they're forking out, just go ahead and trim off your little tags. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get, we're basically gonna create a shellback for the body itself. You can use a lot of different things for this. I personally like to use like a plastic synthetic shellback just because it's super simple. It comes wrapped around just like it was chenille or if it was thread. I would say get a section just a little bit over the actual length of your fly. Get that cut out. And what you're gonna do for this, since it's already pretty wide, just double it over on itself when you tie it in. That way it's not as see-through and you get more of that color if you're gonna use this stuff. So now you're just gonna tie it in, cinch it down, and you're gonna bring it right to the end of where your first set of legs comes in, where your body starts. So basically that's what you're gonna do with it. You're gonna bring it over like that. You wanna make sure that it's flush with your body, flush with your legs, and there's no gaps, no thread showing. And right about there is good. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create our first segment for this fly. And for the segments of the body, what you're gonna use is you're gonna use peacock herl. It gives it a really good variation in color and it gives that extra flash. You're just gonna get 2 pieces that are relatively long. Trim off that little white bit at the bottom. Okay, what you're gonna do is you're gonna tie those 2 in relatively close to that leg and that shellback. Secure it. And if you want to get like a really good wrap, really good poof to your fly, before you tie in herl, what you can do is you're gonna pull it against itself, just like that. And if you notice, just by pulling that like that, those fibers shoot out more instead of just having that really flat look. Just pulling it against itself gives you that much more flare. And when you tie it in, it's gonna look a lot better. So now we're just gonna wrap the body with these 2. Once you got it tied off, you don't really need this tag here. If you have really long fibers, you can use them over and over again, but just send that in the trash. All right, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna work that thread back to the beginning of that first body segment. You can go ahead and rotate to see where you cut off your tag. Right about there looks good. So now you're gonna bring your first shellback segment over to the top. So you're gonna go ahead and wrap it like that. You're just gonna give it a couple wraps behind as well, just so it pops back up and you're ready for your next one. And basically you're just gonna repeat that step till you get to the front of the hook. I'm gonna splay those legs out one last time. We're gonna finish off this fly. So we're gonna bring that shellback back over. You're gonna bring it right pretty much to the base of that bead. Get some tight wraps. There's gonna be a little bit of space in the front, and that's just gonna be to cover up basically the end of your shellback. You're gonna cut as tight as you can to that without having it come undone. That's when you're just gonna cover up the base of that fly, or the base of that shellback, I should say. You can also make sure you pop up your bead before you finish off that fly, because when you tie, it tends to fall down, and you want it to remain basically even with the inside of that hook. So just pop it up, get some tight wraps, just to cover up, just like that. That's it right there, you guys. That's the Golden Stonefly. Like I said, you could tie this in a variation of colors, but we did it in a nice like tan and gold color for this guy right here. But hope you guys enjoyed.